Welcome to Week and Geek, your new comics preview for April 25th. I'm Mike Ortiz.
And I'm the Chris Brown.
So, what comics caught your eye this week?
Well, I'm going to start out some odd ones this week, actually. Some things that were a little not normally in my wheelhouse. So we've got Archie number 632 this week. Archie marries Valerie. Archie's he gets around. He is a hoe. Archie gets around. He is future married to Betty. He is future married to Veronica. I don't know if this is future married or if this is current married or what the deal is. They had done the dating issue before where it was a big deal that Archie was dating Valerie. And now they're getting married.
Wow.
So it should be interesting. As we've mentioned before, Archie is probably the most progressive comic on the stands currently. Kind of interesting. Who knew?
Yeah.
I'm going to jump from, I'm going to scoot that along, get something a little more in tune here. Then we've got this 100-page spectacular of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Heroes in a Half Shell. This is the 3-issue miniseries that was originally published by Archie in the early 90s, kind of the adaptation from the cartoon. It looks good. It looks like, I can't really tell if they've recolored it. It looks a little different than the original colors, although it is a little muted.
It's hard to tell.
But it looks good. It's a nice little package, 100-page spectacular. This baby is going for $7.99.
Kind of like what DC was doing with their DC Presents.
Exactly.
Reprinting some old stuff in a very affordable package.
Yep. And now that IDW has the Turtles license, so they might as well get some of that old stuff out too. Then I've got American Vampire. Love this book. Scott Snyder is doing some great stuff. There's, I'm trying to think, I think I'm an issue behind on this one. I think this is the one that's in the 50s still. I really, really like this book, though. What I find interesting about it is there is a big story, but he just takes little breathers and tells you a bunch of little ones. I like that. I like our main character, even if he's sort of the bad guy, but he's also sort of sympathetic. Great stuff. Scott Snyder is becoming one of my favorite writers right now. Everything he does is
and he got robbed at the Eisners.
Yes.
He didn't get nominated.
Yeah, not for anything, right? Yeah. Not at all, which is totally ridiculous. Then we've got from IDW, who I really think is doing some great stuff. Yeah. They're doing some great licensed stuff. They're doing some great creator-owned stuff.
Best cover of the week.
Best cover of the week. Popeye number 1 with an homage to Action Comics number 1. Really cool stuff. These are all new stories by Roger Langridge. There is a variant cover, retailer variant cover with old art by E.C. Seeger.
Wow.
And it's really nice. It's a neat looking cover. But yeah, this should be kind of fun. I like Popeye. Why not? Who knew Popeye was popular again?
He am what he am.
Word. Then Secret Avengers, number 26. This is going to tie into AVX, as so many of the Avengers and X-Men books this week are tying into AVX. Indeed. This is Rick Remender. He's doing his thing. He's got, Captain Britain on the team this time around, and Vision, Valkyrie, War Machine. Let's see how this ties into the whole AVX. It looks like it's going to be kind of a galactic battle. They're on the front lines trying to stop the Phoenix from coming through. Should be cool. Then New Avengers number 25. Also an AVX tie-in. This has Iron Fist on the cover. Don't really know what he's up to or what's going on.
A Phoenix on his chest instead of the Iron Fist?
It is.
Wow.
It is indeed. Interesting. Maybe that Phoenix power gets in to his Iron Fist power.
Maybe there's a connection between the two.
Perhaps. So this looks like more stuff with the Phoenix coming in and that battle there. Then, now this is also one of my favorite covers of the week. This Daredevil number 11. Awesome, cool stuff. Feels very kind of pulpy, propaganda-y. Really cool stuff. And Daredevil's been a great book.
And this is the crossover with Avenging Spider-Man and Punisher.
Yes. I believe. Yes, this is, I think they were calling it Omega.
Or Omega Crime?
Yeah. So, this is the third part. This is the last part, right? Should tie it all up.
I don't know. I didn't read the others.
I think this ties it up. Also, this is next school. Well, maybe that's just the next Daredevil issue. Then, going back to lots of licensed properties for me this week. Exile on the Planet of the Apes. This is issue number 2 of 4. This is written by Karina Bechko and Gabriel Hardman. This is with art by Mark Laming. Cool stuff. I really like what Gabriel and Karina are doing with the story. They are very, very much Planet of the Apes fans. Yeah. Had an opportunity to talk to them at C2E2 a couple weeks ago, and they're very much Planet of the Apes fans. They feel very loyal to the stuff. They wanted to do something that was new. They didn't want to just rehash things, but they wanted it to feel like Planet of the Apes. They wanted to be loyal to that story, and I think they're doing it.
It's like the comic book companies are just specifically reaching back into your past to
Pretty
find
much.
looking through the stuff you loved as a kid and putting it out in a comic book.
It's a good time to be the Chris Brown. I'm enjoying this stuff currently.
On that subject,
here's Ghostbusters
another
number 8.
great cover.
Yeah, the alternate cover on this is pretty good too, the B cover. But it also feels very pulpy, like a pulp novel. You've got Egon on the front here looking very detective-y and a luminous specter behind him. This book has just been really, really cool. As I've said before, it feels, and my biggest thing with licensed properties is whether or not they feel like the thing that they're adapting. Oftentimes, to me, these things feel like a money grab. It exists in one area, and so to just try and snatch more money in another medium, it sometimes feels dirty to me. But I'm just not feeling that right now. I don't feel dirty. I feel good about it altogether. I'm having a lot of fun. I think the artwork is freaking fantastic, and that's by Dan Schoening, written by Eric Burnham. Just doing some really good. These guys are fans.
Yeah.
Eric Burnham is a fan. He grew up on Ghostbusters the same as I did. Just wonderful, wonderful stuff. It feels like a lot of people in my age group now have grown into these things, and these are the guys that are doing it. So they have a lot of love from their childhood too, and I'm definitely, as a reader, feeling it.
And I think it's a matter of, this stuff is licensed properties, but these are old licensed properties. These are things that are not in front of people right now. I mean, it'd be different if they were doing a Glee comic or something that's really popular. That's capitalizing on the popularity of something.
Yes.
Basically, if this wasn't for this, there'd be no Ghostbusters right now.
That's true.
If it wasn't for the Planet of the Apes, other than the rise of the Planet of the Apes, there would be no Planet of the Apes. This is giving you, this is keeping these franchises alive more than really capitalizing.
Because there are a lot of people that are enjoying these things. That Ghostbusters book is popular. Those Planet of the Apes books are really popular. So, yeah, good stuff.
And the nice thing about doing them as comics is certainly they can get away with selling a few thousand copies, 10,000 copies. If they tried to do it on TV, they would not get an audience big enough to support it. So comics, because you can do a comic cheaper, they can support some of these fringe things in a really great way.
Agreed. What do you got there?
At the top of my stack today is I, Vampire. I don't know what's going on with this book at the moment. This is the conclusion of the Rise of the Vampires, the crossover with Justice League Dark, which I'm not getting. So I don't know what's going on. But the artwork is great. I will probably just read the Wikipedia on Justice League Dark to fill in the gaps. But so for the moment, I'm still getting it because I really like the book and I really like the art. And I'm anal and I don't like having gaps in my collection. But I also don't want to buy Justice League Dark because I lost interest in that book pretty quickly. So it's probably good, and maybe if I can fill in the gaps, I'll enjoy the story. Next up, The Mighty Thor, under a fantastic Walt Simonson Thor cover. If that's not reason enough to get it, this is actually going to be looking a little bit more into Don Blake.
Oh, all right.
So we've had Don Blake show up in the book. Now we're going to get a little bit more of his history and stuff like that.
All right.
Fraction's been doing a good job on this book.
I've fallen behind, admittedly, on that one.
He gets a lot of crap for Fear itself still, but you know what? I still think he's delivering on Thor. Next up, the final issue of Moon Knight. Again, a great cover. Good. It is a really good week for covers. This is the end of the Count Nefaria Ultron story.
So fantastic.
Gorgeous artwork. Bendis is doing a great job writing this. It's unfortunate that they pulled the plug. It only lasted 12 issues, but we've got a great 12-issue single Moonlight story out of it. And you know what? They can't ask for much more with a character that's maybe C-list at best.
Sure.
Next up, Superman. This is the new creative team, Dan Jurgens, Keith Giff, and Jesus Marino. The first issue was pretty good. It definitely, I think, it has picked up from some of the issues that were there earlier in the relaunch. The artwork is solid. The story is pretty straightforward. They've got this character Hellspawn from Wildcats, so they're still fully integrating the Wildstorm universe into the DC universe. So I don't know what's going on really beyond that. Just the first issue kind of got these two characters together, and this is going to continue the storyline. But I'm glad to see Superman kind of picking up a little bit.
Absolutely, that book should be solid. It's Superman.
After Superman, we've got Super Crooks. I really like the first issue of this a lot.
I did too.
It's a clever idea. It's one of those, why do they all stay in America when there's lots of superheroes? At the end they say there's no superheroes in Spain. Why don't we go to Spain? Why don't they go to Spain? Great artwork by Lionel Yu, Mark Miller. You can say what you want about him as a person. You can say what you want about him as kind of a big figure who may love himself a lot.
And I have said all those things about him.
Self-aggrandizing, I believe, is your favorite term. But
yes,
at the end of the day, when he's on, he knows how to deliver a fun and sometimes controversial. He
certainly starts good because he has a lot of great concepts and ideas, and he usually starts well. I really did like that first issue.
Yeah, the first issue was good.
And then the artwork is fantastic. I mean, like you said, that by the end, why don't we just go to Spain?
Yeah.
You're right. Now what?
So it's
that's a neat idea. Why not? Go to Spain. Now what's
gonna happen? Movie. It's a little bit of Ocean's 11 meets superheroes. Very well drawn.
And one might even say a capes-er movie.
One might. One might. So it's good stuff so far. Next up, Captain America. This has been Captain America by Ed Brubaker has been one of the definitive runs of modern comics.
Yes.
And with this Alan Davis artwork, we've just got some great classic superhero stuff. Steve Rogers has got the problems of losing the super soldier formula and shifting back into Skinny Steve. The Mad Bomb, which is a Kirby creation, is making people, including the Falcon, go crazy. Machine Smith's in it. Sharon Carter's in it. Really, it's just good classic superhero stuff for a good classic superhero character.
For a solo book, more or less, being Captain America, he writes a great ensemble book.
Yes.
He really does, and he's done that pretty much since the beginning.
Yeah.
There's a cast of characters in that book, not just Steve.
Yep.
And that's what makes the book work.
Yeah, I think Brubaker figured out that Cap's supporting cast has always been pretty solid, and he's got a good handle on him. He's got their voices down just perfect.
Well, I would hope so after, how many years now?
Yeah, it's been a while. Next up, talk about another great run.
Another great cover.
Hickman's FF. We've got Johnny Storm and Spider-Man.
Yeah, Pete and Johnny Storm are roommates.
It's a classic story, or it's a classic duo. It's a great idea. Johnny Storm is back, and he's living with Peter Parker now. And I'm sure plenty of hijinks will ensue.
I should hope so.
Yeah, great stuff. We really don't have to say anything more. It's FF, it's Hickman, give it a shot. Next up is The Flash. I've been lukewarm on this book since the relaunch.
Really?
The artwork by Francis Manapul has been fantastic,
yeah.
But really haven't been sold on the story so much. So it's really been kind of iffy, but in this issue we are promised a new understanding of the Speed Force.
Okay.
With this new 52, all the old rules are out. So the definitions, the origins, all of that can be changed. And in this one, we're going to be learning about what the Speed Force means to the new DC universe. So just for that, to kind of get an idea of how this is going to play out, that's why I said
checking out.
Next up, Green Lantern, New Guardians. Again, great science fiction stuff. This is the Rainbow Lanterns, basically. And they've got this big sort of godlike character that they've been taking on. Great artwork by Tyler Kirkham, I believe, is still doing it. So it's good stuff. Kyle Rayner is my favorite Green Lantern, so I'm just glad to have a book that features him.
Excellent.
So that's my stack.
Well, I guess that brings me to the top of my stack then, doesn't it? Which should be no surprise, because Rebel Blood #2 came out this week.
Mm-hmm.
As I've been saying for pretty much since the beginning of this show, how much I really like Riley Rossmo's artwork. I think his stuff, he's a very creative and interesting artist currently in comic books. I think he has one of the most interesting eyes ever. Yeah. I really like the way he approaches artwork, and this is the first time he's really gotten a chance to do some plotting and some writing. And it's interesting. It's sort of, it has John Carpenter's Thing sort of feel, because this isolationist wilderness creature, it's almost a zombie thing, but it's not. It feels more of a creature infection story than it does a zombie story. Mm. Our society and the world that we live in, it's easier to call everything a zombie. It's zombies. Well, it's not. there's more to it than that. And I understand calling it zombies, might help sell it a little bit, but that's not really what this book is. There's so much more to it. There's also a very interesting human story in our main character. He's kind of losing his mind while all this is going on. Something happened in his past, presumably with his wife and son. We don't really know because he's getting these strange flashbacks, but this book is, I can't say enough good things about it. The plot thickens, after that last panel in the first issue. So if you're not reading Rebel Blood, you've only missed one issue, go back and pick up the first issue. I still have plenty of copies. I know they were hot when they came out. Yeah. You still find plenty of copies of Comics and More. And we got issue 2 this week. Check it out.
My top pick, I tried not to do this. I didn't want to do this. I actually...
We had a discussion before we got rolling about this.
To avoid doing this. But once again, I'm picking an Avengers versus X-Men. I feel like I'm just some Marvel zombie corporate shill here.
Speaking of zombies.
Yeah. And initially, I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to keep making these my top pick. Have a little bit of variety. Don't want to seem like I'm just only reading these superhero slugfests.
And this is literally the slugfest portion of the superhero slugfest.
Once I actually saw it, there were 2 things that were a lot of fun. One, there's 2 stories, yes. Magneto versus Iron Man and The Thing versus Submariner. If you read Avengers versus X-Men 2 last week, you'll see that those fights sort of start there.
Yep.
But this is where you get the real fights. And they're very, very thorough fights. They have winners. They're kind of keeping a tally of who's winning. I'm not going to say who is ahead at this point. If Avengers vs. X-Men is basically a big slugfest, all of the fights that mean something are going to be there. All of the fights that are just fights are here. And I hate to admit that I just really like a book where it's going to be nothing but superheroes fighting for 10 pages. Yeah, it's not high concept. Yeah, it's not smart, but it's fun. And even that I could have resisted. But this has got a story by Jason Aaron and Adam Kubert, who are fantastic.
Yes.
And then a Thing story by Catherine and Stuart Immonen. And I just can't get enough Stuart Immonen art. People may have hated Fear Itself, but I just poured over the pages looking at his artwork. We've got The Thing fighting the Submariner, drawn by Stuart Immonen. That's my pick of the week. It's a big, dumb superhero fight, and I feel strangely guilty about it, that I should be kind of promoting more intelligent, artistic, clever, creative, well-written comics. But at the end of the day, I like watching The Thing punch the Submariner.
Sometimes comics are just comics, and that's okay.
Yeah. So if you don't mind turning your brain off and looking at pretty pictures for a while, you're going to love this.
Awesome. And with that, that is an action-packed and a fun duke 'em out Week in Geek.